As a friend of Nicole Kidman, I got to know Tom Cruise quite well.
Yeah.
It was a moment that I kind of really established in my mind that I thought he was a very cool guy, because I brought it up with him.
For years, whispers have surrounded the relationship between Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise, but now the Oscar-winning actor is breaking his silence. With surprising honesty, Crowe opens up about their unlikely friendship, the untold stories behind their time together, and what really went down behind closed doors. Get ready for shocking revelations and a glimpse into one of Hollywood's most unexpected connections. Crowe's words will leave you speechless. A chance meeting in Sydney. Russell Crowe and Tom Cruise met for the first time at a BBQ in Sydney in the summer of 1992. The event would go on to become a famous moment in Hollywood history. Naomi Watts, who is a talented actress herself, put together the event. She invited a small group of actors, filmmakers, and people who work in the business to enjoy good food and talk. Around that time, Crowe was still a growing star in Australian films. His gritty and intense roles were slowly making him famous. Crowe was known for his parts in Australian films like Romper Stomper, in which he played a violent and complicated neo-Nazi, and The Sum of Us, in which he played a weak and sensitive gay man, which surprised people. He stood out in a business full of over-the-top personalities because of how honest, emotional, and moving his acting was. But Tom Cruise was already a world-famous star. Celebrities all over the world knew Tom Cruise as the cocky pilot Pete Maverick Mitchell from the movie Top Gun. In 1992, Cruise was married to Nicole Kidman, making them one of the most powerful pairs in Hollywood. He was one of the best-paid actors in the world, and major hits like Top Gun, Rain Man, and A Few Good Men had already formed the foundation of his success. Cruise's career was shaped by his undeniable charm and his willingness to play parts that were physically and emotionally risky. At the same time, Cruise was at an interesting point in his career. He was about to become a real Hollywood legend. And the Mission Impossible franchise was just around the corner. Nicole Kidman, who was already a rising star in Hollywood, was the main person who set up this chance meeting between Cruise and Crowe. For a while now, Kidman had been watching Crowe's work in Australian films and had grown to really admire his skill. She had seen how deeply and intensely Crowe played his roles, and she knew that Cruise would enjoy the range and complexity of his work. Nicole, who is always kind and helpful, suggested that Cruise meet Crowe because she thought the two stars had a lot in common, even though their careers had gone in different directions. At the cookout, Kidman went out of her way to greet Cruise and Crowe. There wasn't just a casual meeting. Kidman planned the whole thing, as she had already been raving about Crowe's work to Cruise before the event. She had even shown him some of Crowe's films ahead of time because she knew Cruise would be impressed by how well he could act. It wasn't just about making connections for the sake of making connections. It was about giving two great actors a chance to meet and learn from each other. Kidman personally brought Cruise over to meet Crowe, which set up the meeting. It was clear right away that this wouldn't be a customary meet and greet with a celebrity. Kidman had already been telling Cruise a story by praising Crowe's work and showing him clips from films like Proof and Spotswood. And for Crowe, this was a surprise. He hadn't planned to meet Cruise at this time, especially since they were so different in terms of fame. Early on, two of Hollywood's biggest stars just said hello to each other, but their talk quickly turned much deeper and more enjoyable. Crowe was more used to talking to other Australians, so the amount of depth that Cruise brought to their conversation surprised him. Even though Cruise was famous and respected worldwide, he still found time to watch some of Crowe's works. This wasn't just compliments or small talk to be nice. It was clear that Cruise had taken the time to learn about Crowe's playing style and what made his roles stand out. He asked Crowe detailed, well-thought-out questions about how he acts, how he prepares for roles, and his experiences working in the Australian film business. It wasn't just about acting methods or filmography. It was a real conversation between two artists who love what they do. It wasn't just that Cruise was being friendly for the sake of being nice. He was really interested in Crowe's life, what drove him, and how he created his personality. Cruise's questions showed that he had a lot of respect for Crowe's work, which had a long-lasting effect on Crowe. He knew that Crowe was interested in more than just his movies. He was also interested in his own experiences as an actor. What started out as a friendly introduction turned into a long-term business relationship that would have a big impact on both of their lives. There was a bond between Crowe and Crowe that came from their love of acting and sharing stories. It was clear that both stars cared about their jobs in ways that went beyond the flash and glamour of Hollywood. Crowe saw that Crowe was someone who wasn't only driven and ambitious to do well in the business, but also had a lot of respect for the art of acting. The love they had for each other would become the basis of their bond. Crowe, who was just starting out in his career, was moved by how hard Crowe worked at his job. He saw that Crowe wasn't happy with just being a Hollywood star. Crowe wanted to push the limits and play parts that made him feel physically and emotionally challenged. Something about this spoke to Crowe deeply. Like Crowe, he had always taken on parts that pushed him to new heights, like putting on 35 pounds for The Insider, or becoming Maximus in Gladiator, a cruel and tortured character. It was clear to both actors that the difficulties that came with their jobs were real, which made them instantly bond. They would run into each other many times over the years, but it was clear that the friendship they made at that Sydney dinner would last. They would both become famous for different things in their careers, with Crowe becoming the face of hit action films, and Crowe becoming known as an actor who could do anything from epic historical dramas to modern thrillers. But they would always respect each other's work. Even though Hollywood is full of rivalry, competition, and egos, the friendship between Crowe and Crowe shows how powerful it can be when stars respect each other's work. In a business known for being very competitive, they weren't trying to outdo each other or move up in the relationship. Instead, it was about two men who knew what it meant to be an actress and what it meant to give up and gain. It was about two people who, even though they were from different places, Australia and the US, had a deep, unspoken understanding of what it meant to be dedicated to their work. When Russell Crowe spoke about his new film, The Water Diviner, he shared a story about a brief conversation he once had with Tom Cruise. Crowe explained how the topic of Scientology came up naturally between them. It all started when Crowe was at a video store and noticed a $2.50 special on a video about Scientology. Out of curiosity and as a gesture of friendship toward Nicole Kidman, he decided to watch it. Later, during a conversation with Crowe brought it up. He admitted he wasn't sure how Crowe would react, but was pleasantly surprised by how laid-back and respectful Crowe was about the whole thing. They talked for a while, but what really stood out to Crowe was how Crowe ended the discussion. Instead of trying to persuade him or push any beliefs, Crowe simply said, "If it's important to you, man, you'll do something about it." The Crowe clash. In 2001, Hollywood's golden couple, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, shocked the world by calling it quits after a decade-long marriage. For Russell Crowe, their breakup wasn't just gossip, it was personal. Friends with both for years, Russell faced a tough choice but ultimately stood by Nicole, who he saw as family. Loyalty like that doesn't come without fallout, and it wasn't long before Tom's camp tried pressuring Russell to distance himself from her. Russell didn't flinch. Then came the now infamous joke that set tongues wagging. Russell quipped he must have been part of Nicole's divorce settlement package. Meant as a cheeky show of support, the comment missed the mark and only deepened the growing rift with Tom. What started as a strained friendship soon became a Cold War. Fast forward to 2017, and that simmering tension boiled over when Russell and Tom were cast together in The Mummy. It was their first time working together, but any hopes for a smooth collaboration quickly evaporated. Tensions ran high, spilling into a grueling 4-day shoot for a brutal fight scene that felt as real as their off-screen animosity. The sequence, filled with smashed walls, shattered glass, and obliterated furniture, became a battle of egos as both actors insisted on doing their own stunts, refusing to back down. Off-camera, things weren't much better. The set turned into a battleground of creative clashes. Tom, the action megastar, pushed for a fast-paced, high-octane vision for the film, while Russell championed a more nuanced, character-driven approach. The two clashed constantly, with crew members even chronicling their heated arguments. Adding fuel to the fire was Tom's iron grip on the production, with a contract that gave him the final say over everything from script rewrites to editing. Russell bristled at the lack of creative collaboration, further straining their already fraught relationship. The Brooke Shields incident. In 2005, Tom Cruise and Brooke Shields were at the center of a heated public discussion about depression after giving birth. It all started when Brooke Shields wrote her autobiography, Down Came the Rain. In it, she talked about how she dealt with postpartum depression after giving birth to her daughter Rowan. Shields talked about how hard that time was and said that the drug Paxil helped her get better. Tom Cruise didn't like the way she did things. In a famous interview on The Today Show, he said that Shields shouldn't be taking drugs because they don't work, and that she should instead take vitamins and exercise. He also said things about her job that were rude and pointless, which got a lot of backlash from people, especially women who had been through similar things. Shields didn't like it when people said bad things about him. As a response, she wrote an important article for the New York Times about how Cruise didn't understand postpartum depression and how serious it is. Many people related to her answer, which brought attention to how important it is to recognize and treat maternal mental health. Strangely enough, Cruise went to Shields' house a year later to say sorry in person. He stood by what he said about drugs, but he said he was sorry for the hurt they caused. Shields took his apology well, and soon after, she even went to Italy to see him marry Katie Holmes. The public fight finished on an unexpectedly happy note of peace. But Cruise's behavior on the set also got a lot of attention around the same time. The actress Thandie Newton talked about how hard it was to work with him on Mission Impossible 2 in 2000. Newton had a terrible dream about a scene they were filming in Spain at night where their characters were arguing. As the scene went on, things got worse because the director, who didn't speak English, didn't offer much help. Cruise wasn't happy with Newton's performance, so he suggested that they switch parts to work on the scene. This method made Newton feel even more nervous and unsafe, which added to the stress of a shoot that was already hard. She felt stressed out by the end of the night and blamed herself for the problems. Later, Cruise called her, but not to say sorry. He told her that they were going to reshoot the scene. At the reshoot, Newton gave Cruise the act she was looking for, but she later thought about how useless the whole thing had been. The situation showed how hard it can be to deal with creative conflicts on set and the stress that actors feel in high-stakes shows. Fast forward to July 2022, when Mickey Rourke caused a stir during an interview on Piers Morgan Uncensored. At the time, Cruise was celebrating a massive career milestone. Top Gun: Maverick had just grossed over $1 billion at the box office. However, Rourke dismissed Cruise's success, saying it didn't matter, and even called him irrelevant. Rourke argued that being a great actor isn't about making hit movies. It's about taking risks and transforming yourself for every role. Tom Cruise and Matt Lauer had a heated clash during a Today Show interview on June 24, 2005. It started as a regular discussion about Cruise's movie, War of the Worlds. Still, it quickly escalated when Cruise became upset with Brooke Shields' use of antidepressants after her baby was born. As a Scientologist, Cruise believed psychiatry was a pseudoscience and argued that antidepressants were not real solutions. Lauer attempted to question him, but Cruise became more aggressive, stating that Lauer didn't have all the facts and calling Shields' views harmful. This heated exchange became one of the most talked-about interviews on television. Brooke Shields later defended herself in the New York Times, standing by her decisions and challenging Cruise's beliefs. The moment highlighted the tension between Cruise's Scientology-based views and mainstream opinions. Leah Remini's revelations about Tom Cruise. Leah Remini, once a devoted Scientologist, has since spoken out about troubling stories regarding Tom Cruise, after Cruise's infamous COVID-19 rant on the Mission Impossible 7 set went viral in 2020. Remini claimed that it was all for show. She alleged that Scientologists don't even believe in the pandemic, seeing it as something meant to provoke reactions. Remini also shared stories about Cruise's temper, including an incident where he reportedly got angry because his staff didn't have the right ingredients for cookies. On the Mission Impossible set, Cruise's behavior allegedly led to 5 staff members quitting after another meltdown. She claimed Scientology leader David Miscavige had shaped Cruise into someone she called an abusive dictator. According to Ramini, Cruise's public outbursts were calculated to make him appear heroic, masking a much darker side of his personality. Tom Cruise's relationship with fellow Scientologist John Travolta has been filled with tension. Despite both being major figures in Scientology, the two actors have reportedly competed for years to be the church's top star under the leadership of David Miscavige. Things came to a head in 2008 when Cruise was given Scientology's biggest award, the Freedom Medal of Valor. Travolta, who had always been told he was the most loyal member, was furious. He even skipped Cruise's wedding to Katie Holmes, which was a huge deal within their circle. Travolta reportedly sent a letter demanding answers about the award, but Scientology representatives denied the claims. Still, the rivalry between the two stars has been difficult to ignore. Tom Cruise's quick divorce from Katie Holmes. Despite the pain and public drama, both Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman eventually moved forward. Nicole, after the breakup, found love with country music star Keith Urban. The two married in 2006, building a family and a life that seemed to bring her peace. Tom, on the other hand, married actress Katie Holmes, but even that union couldn't stand the test of time. In 2012, Tom and Katie's marriage ended in a whirlwind divorce that shocked Hollywood. What made their split so jaw-dropping was its speed. In just 2 weeks, their divorce was finalized. Katie had planned everything with remarkable precision. She even used disposable phones to discreetly speak with lawyers and arrange the details of her exit. Despite the emotional strain of the situation, Katie didn't ask for spousal support. Instead, her primary focus was their daughter, Suri. Tom agreed to pay $400,000 annually in child support until Suri turned 18. In addition, he covered all of her health care and educational expenses, and a trust fund was set up for her future. Katie walked away from the marriage with a hefty financial package. She kept the sprawling Beverly Hills mansion worth a staggering $35 million, along with her pricey jewelry collection. But the most surprising aspect of the divorce wasn't the money, it was the custody arrangement. Katie secured full physical custody of Suri, a rare victory in celebrity divorces, where joint custody is often the norm. Katie wanted control over Suri's day-to-day life, her education, and her exposure to religion. And she got it. Tom was granted visitation rights, but that was it. Katie filed for divorce in New York, knowing the court system there was more likely to side with one parent for custody. Her strategy worked. But behind all the public attention, there was another chapter in Tom Cruise's life that's far less known. A chapter involving Nazanin Boniadi. In late 2004, Nazanin's life took an unsettling turn when the Church of Scientology handpicked her for a secret mission. Initially, she had no idea what she was getting into. She was told to change her look, no more braces, a new hairdo, and even a breakup with her longtime boyfriend. Then came the shocking revelation. She was being groomed to be Tom Cruise's girlfriend. What seemed like a dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Nazanin was flown to New York, where she was kept under constant surveillance by Scientology handlers. She was never allowed to be alone with Tom. His demands were extreme, bordering on controlling. He ordered her to file down her teeth to improve her smile, and each day she had to undergo hours of auditing to rid her mind of any negative thoughts about him. Every small misstep, even a minor mistake in her behavior, was punished. Once, when Nazanin complimented Tom by saying, "Very well done," the church saw it as an insult, interpreting it as if she were belittling him. For this offense, she was forced into even more grueling auditing sessions. On another occasion, she made a social faux pas in front of Scientology leader David Miscavige, which only intensified the harsh treatment she received. In January 2005, Nazanin's relationship with Tom came to an abrupt end. Heartbroken and confused, she turned to a friend for support, only to face a cruel response from the church. Nazanin was subjected to humiliating and degrading tasks like scrubbing toilets with a toothbrush, cleaning tiles with acid, and working late into the night digging ditches. She was relentlessly berated and labeled a horrible person. Her punishment didn't stop there. She was also forced to sell Scientology books on the streets. As Russell Crowe opens up about his relationship with Tom Cruise, we get a glimpse into their unique dynamic. For more insights and updates, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more exclusive content.